going to show you how to make a bow using 5 different ribbons. I'll be using 2 2.5-inch ribbon and 3 1.5-inch ribbon. You'll also need a pipe cleaner, a zip tie, and a pair of scissors. I do use the bow maker. I find it easier to make my ribbons with. So I'm going to start with my first 2.5-inch ribbon. And I'm going to stick it in between the 2 dowels. And I'm going to measure out a little bit longer than 8 inches, about a 10-inch length for my ribbon tail. And then I'm going to twist my ribbon. You want the back side of the ribbon up so that as you come around to make your loop, you have the top side showing. I'm going to start with 5-inch loops. I have it in between my 2 dowels and I'm going to twist. I'm going to measure out my 5 inches again, have it between the 2 dowels, and I'm going to twist. I will be making 3 loops on each side for my first layer of loops. And I twist. Again, you have the back side of the ribbon up. Make sure it matches the 5 inches and twist. And twist. You want to make sure none of your ribbon gets twisted on the outside of the dowels. And then now I have 3 loops on the left-hand side and 3 loops on the right-hand side. And because I'm doing only 3 loops on each side, I'm not going to twist because I want to bring the ribbon tail down and match it with the other ribbon tail. If I twisted, you'd have the back side of the ribbon up. We want the front side of the ribbon up. Match my tails, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to get my second 2.5-inch ribbon. And I'm going to do the same thing. However, I'm only going to do two loops on this side, 2 loops on this side for a total of 4 loops. So our first layer has 6 loops. And the second layer is going to have 4 loops total. I'm going to make my ribbon just a tad bit. We'll make it the same length. And I got it in, and I'm going to twist. So as you can see, the underside is up. Now I'm going to make these loops 4 inches. And I'm going to twist in the middle. Again, back side up. Make my loop. And 4 inches. Twist. And you can always measure this way to make sure that they are the same length. Back side is up. Bring my ribbon through, twist. Now, since I'm only doing 2 loops on each side, I'm not going to twist. Don't twist, because you want your ribbon tail to show on top side. And cut. So now I'm going down to the smaller size ribbon. These are 2.5 inch width. And now I'm going down to the 1.5 inch width. And again, I'm going to measure my tails. And I'm going to twist. I have the underside up. I guess you could say belly up. And I'm going to do 3 loops on each side. And I'm going to do these at about 3 inches. And I'm going to twist. Belly up. Bring the ribbon around. Make sure they're about the same length. And I'm going to twist. Twist. Measure your length. Twist. Belly up. Twist. So now I have my 3 loops on this side, and I'm making my 3rd loop on this side for a total of 6 loops for this layer. Don't twist because you want your ribbon side up when you cut the tail. Now we're going to go with our 4th ribbon, and it is polka dots. This is also a 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to measure my tails, and I'm going to twist. I'm going to come down. So I started 5 inch. 4 inch, 3 inch. I'm going to make these at 2 inch. And I'm only going to do 2 loops on each side for a total of 4 loops for this layer. I'm measuring to make sure they're the same length. And now I'm going to twist. And I do keep pushing. You'll see me. I still keep pushing to keep the layers tight. I'm going to twist. Belly up. Bring it through. I'm only doing 2 loops on each side for a total of 4. Do not twist. Bring your ribbon down to measure. And cut. Now, for the last layer with this green ribbon, I'm only going to make 1 loop. This is going to cover the zip tie. So I'm going to stick it in. I am going to twist. Now I'm going to bring the loop around the dowel. And bring it through. I am not going to twist because I want the good side up. There's a difference in, it looks the same, but the threading on one side's a little bit nicer than on the other side. So this is just going to be the little center point of the whole bow. And I'm going to cut. So now I have my center loop, all of my layers. I have, again, 3 layers, 2 loops, 3 loops, 2 loops, and then my center loop. I'm going to push down as tight as I can. I'm going to grab my zip tie, and this is an 8-inch zip tie. I'm going to bring up this whole bow. It's very thick. And as I pull it up, I'm going to hold it tight. There are indents where this was cinched in the middle of the 2 dowels. That's where you want to make sure you put your zip tie. You want to center it as much as you can between those two, the 2 indented sides. And then before I tie this all the way down, I'm going to, on the back side, I'm going to insert the pipe cleaner. This is what I can tie to a lantern, I can tie to a candlestick holder, or even to a wreath. And as you pull it, you want to pull the zip tie as tight as you can. You don't want it coming apart. I'm going to align it a little bit better on both sides. Make sure I'm pretty much centered. And I'm going to check the layers to make sure if nothing is too twisted. That will affect the bow. And now I'm going to pull as tight as I can so that the bow will stay nice and tight. And then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut the zip tie off. And I have this as to what I'm going to attach onto the lantern or the candlestick holders or the wreath. So now we're going to fluff the bow. I usually start with the back to pull it and fluff. And you're going to play with it some as you are fluffing. And since you have it cinched tight, you're able to pull on the bows quite well. And it's not going to pull out of the zip tie. If you don't have it down tight enough, you can end up pulling the loops and making them uneven. So that's why you need to tighten it down as much as you can. So I'm pulling pretty hefty on here. And I'm just pulling and fluffing, pulling and fluffing. And this one's my three loops for a total of 6. And this is 2 loops on each side for a total of 4. And then we have the final loop in the center. And again, I'm just going to pull and fluff. I'm going to get it exactly where I want it to be. Pull and fluff, pull and fluff. You want to try to get your layers in between, or rather your loops in between the other loops so that everything can be seen. And once we have our loops where we want them, then we're gonna cut the ribbon tails. So there we have our bow. So pretty. And now we're going to cut our ribbon tails. Now when I cut, I will cut from the folded edge up diagonal to the wire edge to get my dovetail. And I'll measure the next one and do the same thing. And I'm just cutting each one just a tad bit smaller. And now I'm going to go to the next side. Again, I cut from the loop up to the wire edge. Missing one. There she is. I just fold the ribbon, cut from the loop to the wire edge. Now that we have the wires, the tails cut, just refluff. And then you can curve your ribbons down by just gently running your fingers through. And there you have it. Beautiful spring bow.